forth, back and forth. And if for the sake of progress, we are going to be here for about an hour. But now we are going, we'll go on and on and on and on and on and on. But the issues that you I understand Kutizo Munu, you might have my questions, kind a presentation in Yapiwa. But we run the risk of taking much of our time on that issue, and yet there are some people, that want to add on to this conversation. And Digimawan. Saka, please, chill and die, and then we move on to the next speaker.
Okay. No pin wrong.
All right, pin right.
Right. Max is saying Chamisa is not a lie. Okay. And then I responded and I said, every politician is a lie. I didn't want us to go to this breadth, but because Max is claiming, I'll show you traits of lies that have been done by my own brother Chamisa. And I don't blame him for that. Because, I don't blame him because he's a politician. Chamisa went on Hard Talk on BBC. And BBC...
I knew that was where this conversation was going to go.
Don't need to
I knew I didn't move on. I didn't move on. If you want to focus on an issue, let us focus on that issue. I know Gutizo is a sensitive issue that we are talking about. And sometimes we just need to keep, those emotions, in check. Yes, you might hear something, that, might get to you. But at the end of the day, you must be very cognizant of the fact, Yakuti. You can be probed into steering a conversation to another sport where you don't want that conversation, to go.
Absolutely, Uncle. Absolutely. Because people can then start bringing the issue of when you guys say Chachenes gets free education, or this can go haywire. But what I can just say, Uncle, I don't know how long you've got, but my questions are Akawanda. So I think on my 3 minutes, our submitter goes down, then we hear others.
Right. So I want us, to agree on this, and I'm making a ruling. Semuna ngabada chinonzi chichimuti chinonzi ndikichigebo chinonzi just speak again order nyaya kai we are moving on, and we are bringing in an entirely a different speaker, and the speaker that is going to be coming, I'm not trying to gag you because we will go back to the to square one. Please let us focus on responding to what Tshabangu is saying, because the moment you mention somebody's name, that person will say that like I'm not trying to sort of control this, control how people control should be responding, but for the sake of progress, let us move on. Mofun Dimima aid the next bunch of speakers and Suzia order and Wapinde, Saka, you might as well direct people to come through.
Awesome. So I think in the way I added them, Max, you've actually not yet done your submission on watching interrupter. So if we go, I'll go GHK, then we go Max, then we go Zimbabwe Freedom for now. Those three.
Thank you, Georgia. Thank you so much. I just want to touch on the issue and what is Tshabangu's end game? And Tshabangu's end game can be the recalling of the MPs of Perai Papo. There are far-reaching consequences in regard to those recalls. And someone was saying that why are the MPs quiet? Why are they not responding? Because an MP, they cannot respond on a matter that is already before the court of law. And we can foresee that this is a ZANU-PF end game. They are gunning for 2/3 majority to change the laws and to give Mnangagwa a third term. Because when you look at it deeply, you find that Tshabangu is accusing Chamisa on one thing, and he goes on to do the worst thing. Chamisa did not donate a single seat to ZANU-PF, but Tshabangu's overtures will do so. So his approach, Tshabangu, is tribal. It's so divisive, it's irrational, and does not make any sense. Tshabangu's approach can only benefit ZANU-PF and no one else. And this tribal approach will not work in Tshabangu's favor. You know that. People did not vote for ZAPU or MRP in Matabeleland. They voted for Triple C. And ZANU-PF came second in most of the constituencies. So thinking that a new by-election will bring forth a tribal vote or Tshabangu's candidate, it is a misconception. It is only going to benefit ZANU-PF. You know, we have a Speaker of Parliament who know who Triple C are and who know the leadership of Triple C, and brazenly goes on to ignore Nelson Chamisa's correspondence 2 times, but entertain a ghost called Tshabangu. You know, Tshabangu said you want people who were born in and bred in Bulawayo to lead Bulawayo, but goes on to recall an MP in Mabuku, where a gold mafia, Scott Sakupkanya, was Mabukurized. You know, and then the fact that we have got another gold dealer who is a ZANU-PF cohort called Shekiti Mburwa, calling for one-party state on this platform, clearly exposes the ZANU-PF agenda. Why is Timburwa and Saramba taking personal interest in this matter? And who is Kalipani Phugeni? Kalipani Phugeni is Thokozani Kupe's spokesperson, and we know that. What happened to Kupe? Kalipani Phugeni today is Tshabangu's spokesperson. Both of them for selling out the people's struggle in less than 5 years. So what is Phugeni's end game? Phugeni is found everywhere where there is a disruption of opposition parties' activities. What is the background here, Phugeni? It is skilled and littered with opposition parties' decimation, stretching back to the disruption of MDC structures in South Africa, where his pro-Gen Chief Glove lost structures to trust in Glove, leading to 2017 coup. Phugeni was working hand in glove with military intelligence in South Africa, with George Jaramba, who has taken a personal interest to handle Tshabangu to this day. And where is this Phugeni? You find where there's Phugeni, there's Jaramba, there's Tshabangu, and both of them are handling the same guy. The same way they handled Kupe is the same way they handled Chief Love. Now they misled Morgan Tsvangirai, and now they are misleading this boy Tshabangu. So it's clear Phugeni is handled by the state security and military intelligence, and is providing this guy with resources and judiciary clout to do whatever you want. If you cross Phugeni's road, you are in hot soup. Mark my word. And then you have a guy who was a spokesperson wa Tshabangu. Papa, at the moment when Tshabangu is trying to destroy Triple C, and then you come and say Tshabangu is which is a misconception. We know how this candidate validation was done. We are privy to that information. We know completely how it was done. So regardless of our misgiving, we went on and voted for the candidate that was selected. Why? For the sake of progress. And why now this guy come and start recalling my MP to give ZANU-PF a third majority in the parliament? Why now? Why didn't he address those issues during the validation process? Where was he? So we cannot say now Tshabangu is aggrieved. He's aggrieved. Who is he to usurp the people's will? Because those people, they went on to vote for the same people that he's saying were imposed. They were voted in large numbers by the same voters. So is Tshabangu sincere in his approach or not? And I will not entertain this Shekitumburu guy. The guy was implicated in gold mafia. He's defending his position here. So let us not fool each other here. What we want is the progress for the citizens. The citizens are suffering. People are crying out there, and you are busy politicking at the expenses of ordinary Zimbabweans. You guys, you are heartless. You are so cruel. You need to reconsider the way that you are doing your thing. This is not going to benefit anybody. It's not going to benefit the ordinary citizen. It's only going to benefit ZANU-PF, and ZANU-PF will keep a firm grip on power while people are suffering and crying, and will be running away, all of you, into the diaspora. You need to reconsider what you are doing. This is so cruel. And one thing you must know, Chirino Zongo Fa. Thank you so much, Uncle Jet.
Uncle Jero, ndofunza kupindura.
Aiwa, tashoto
Hold
kupindura
on, Shaggy.
wewe karapasi Shaggy.
Hold on. Right. You
Sorry.
get
No, this is
time
not
to
his
respond.
space.
So hold
This
on.
is not Shaggy's space. No.
Hold on.
It's
Freedom
not your
of
space. No one asked you for a response. Others are waiting. You're not important. You can go and hang yourself somewhere else.
Right, guys. Let's continue with the order that I've given. So I think Max, you were coming next. Then we go to Zimbabwe.
Thank you very much, host. Yes, and I should go pindira. But anyway, yeah, chance yangu. And then I want to say, big up to my brother GHK for such a an eloquent submission and touching on the most important things that is befalling our country. And I just wanted to say that I think when I look back about this, the way we did our candidate selection, I think it was the best way. Looking at this guy Tshabangu coming up and trying to force other people, other candidates, it simply shows that our intelligence did a good job, actually uprooting those who are not part of us, like the ones that this Tshabangu guy trying to say that they were aggrieved. So ndiri kuona sekuti bereka mwana yakashanda nokuti takainfiltratwa, guys. Just imagine if all these Tshabangu's friends were part of the system right now. We're in the parliament. What we're going to do? They're going just to defect to ZANU-PF and give ZANU-PF the third majority. Like what we see here right now is that what ZANU-PF is trying to fight for is the 1/3 majority. And this guy is trying to play a tribal card. And then you ask yourself, why did he recall the mayor of Masvingo? To what end? And if you look at, like what my brother just pointed out here, that McVook, Nana Scott, Kwaka Rico, how did he know that the Munakaswa Ikoko was not the one that was wanted by the people? Did he had any conversations with those people in Mavuk? If you look at, I don't know, this thing is all flawed, and I think there is a big end. ZANU-PF is the one that is pushing this guy, and they know that they've captured the courts. They know that he captured Mundenda. So I think we are in for it, guys, but we hope that at the end of the day, I want to big up to our party for the system they used. They managed to uproot all these infiltrations. Thank you, Ago Jed and Titus. I'll land. Let me watch my game, guys. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Max. Zimbabwe Freedom.
Thank you very much, host, for the space. Thank you very much, co-host, for the space. Thank you very much to all the speakers. Thank you very much for holding the lineup. I really appreciate, and thank you very much for having Tshabangu coming on and pretty much decimating his own argument in front of everyone. I'm sure after the space, Uncle Gerard, you'll be ever so grateful to not cancel the space so that those who are involved in the trial can be able to go and get the evidence that is needed. And we've got some voice recognition experts. For me, it's quite telling that something as simple as opening a Twitter account, they didn't want to do it. And they say they couldn't do it. Yet someone is going to say that he's a whole Secretary General of a political party. He can't even say the date that he was appointed to become Secretary General. He can't even say the process which was used to appoint him. He just says, the same way Chamis was appointed. Yet, in law, everyone knows that he who is the one making the allegation must prove. But it's very, very convenient that those that support ZANU-PF are the ones that are supporting Tshabangu. In the same way that they supported ZEC, and they were on the side of ZEC when the elections were being rigged. And then at the same time, the same individuals, the thing that they forget to mention is that Idi Mnangagwa opened up his arms and his mouth, and he admitted himself with evidence that is presentable in any court of law that, yes, they rigged the election. They try and make it all about CCC having to prove it. CCC is not the one that went and did any recourse. It's Tshabangu as an individual. As an individual. Others come and give their opinions, yet they don't state any facts. They go and say, Nelson Chamisa is a liar, he knows Tshabangu. He should know Tshabangu. I'm a member of CCC, and I can tell you what, I bet you Nelson Chamisa doesn't know my name at all. But I can tell you for a fact, CIO Zimbabwe and police, they definitely know my name. How do I know that? They confiscated computers from MDC offices. They just took them, just went confiscated, all of them. So what did members of CCC decide, or supporters now? Because it doesn't really have members, it doesn't have a structureless organization, but with structures which are hidden. They decided, we don't want this system of you giving us cards anymore, which means we don't want people to be abducted. While CCC is moving to try and protect its people, ZANU-PF is moving to try and find, abduct, torture, and kill CCC people. And there's a famous saying that is always said, when you lie with dogs, you get fleas. Tshabangu said he cannot deny that he is in contact with Jonathan Moyo. That is what is called lying with a dog. CCC people refused. They told Chamisa, you are going to stay well away from Jonathan Moyo. And what is Tshabangu doing? The opposite of what CCC people, the ordinary people, have been saying about Jonathan Moyo. Sorry, I'm coming out clear first. I'm just landing. Thank you. So that means Tshabangu, he is likely willing to go to Poland. He wants to go back to Gweru Congress, which appointed Monzora, which means his handler is Monzora. People say, oh, so why isn't Nelson Chamisa and CCC wanting to compete against Tshabangu? It's very simple. Tshabangu has bitten off the poisoned chalice. The poison he is drinking out of it. And if he is going to drink out of it, and if he is killing the party, if he is making the same mistake as Douglas Monzora, along with Kalipani Phugeni, let him do it. You don't stop him. Because I will say this again, like I've always said each and every single time. The party is not the logo. That is not the party. That is not the people. That is not the congregation. That is not the church. It is not the building. It is not the bank account. The party is the hearts and minds of the ordinary people that go and vote, that donate, that make up those structures that those in ZANU-PF so much want to know about. The party is those people that are now forming other organizations away from CCC that are going to be taking actions, not one, but many, that are going to leave ZANU-PF wondering what on earth is going on. That is the true party. That as much as I'm a realist, as much as ZANU-PF is going to have this CCC at the end of the process, what they are never going to have is the hearts and minds of the people. And the people of Matabeleland, when they start singing Pambalile ZANU-PF, I can guarantee you this, That is the death knell in each and every single one of those people that Tshabangu is going to appoint. Thank you. And when I say death, I mean political death. That's what I mean. I don't mean death as in end of life. Thank you.
Right. Thanks, my brother. Zimbabwe freedom of expression. Thank you for that. I think the next three speakers, Denzel, Klopas, and Rumbi. I think if you come in that order, and Denzel, when you come in, Tshabangu touched on the fact of there are some. He said some people have initiated some negotiations, and this is happening in the background. Do you think there's anything to that? Do you think there might be some? They might actually speak before this proclamation that was made, and then they might come with a resolution which reverses what has happened. So Klopas, if you take the mic, please. Sorry, Denzel, then Klopas.
Thank you very much, Cause. I wasn't too impressed by Tshabangu, to be honest. I expected him maybe probably to answer and maybe be well articulate, but it seems as if when we were posing the questions, he would pause, probably deliberate, and maybe cover. So I didn't actually quite get what he was trying to say, honestly. I wanted him to tell us who he was referring to as we. That answer was not actually, that answer did not come. So, guys, it is no gumbura. That is what is actually happening. I'm saddened by this development, to be honest. I'm very angry, to say the least, because Tshabangu, what he's just trying to do is just to reverse everything that people actually worked towards maybe achieving. Actually, this is all to benefit ZANU-PF. As we can see, many people, they will come in. ZANU-PF, I remember seeing the likes of Anamati Gari, Pangoya Tshabangu, everyone actually was coming in. The likes of Anasheki right now coming in to try and maybe defend or maybe bring out maybe they're trying to say that this guy is actually way too smart, complicated, and in so doing, we should actually maybe cow to his demands, which is something that I do not ascribe to. Because munhu angakupindira mubedroom mako kama uzotanga ovata nemudzimai wako wozotanzi chigarai pasi mutange kudiscussa naye. We are not going to discuss with this guy. He is a nobody. The fact that maybe munhu aionekwa kana ari pawedding pako does not actually necessarily mean that this person atova maybe probably munhu wepadhuze or maybe ane right to do whatever that he wants pamba pako. That's not it. We do not want this guy to be doing anything. Right now, I expected him to come up maybe with anyone who is within the leadership of Triple C to say, look, guys, I and all these other people, we are not happy with what happened. Right? By so doing, this is what we did. We did A, B, C, D, and D. But nobody actually maybe heard us. We went as far as A, B, C, D, but nothing. All that we have is him coming in a spokesperson. What a mockery. Coming up na Phugeni. And then we should be expecting these guys are actually addressing anything. And I also asked the question, did we perform badly to actually deserve all these onslaught, on the party? Who stands to benefit from all this? Okay, let's say we did not perform badly. So what is necessitating recourse? Were there no any other way of actually addressing all this? So all these things are not actually addressed. Then you go to do recourse and then you try to come up and say, no, you know what, I'm actually open to dialogue. You don't strike. Like many people have actually said here. You do not bend down your house simply because you do not love the color. So right now, after all these things, what are the implications? How are we going to address this? So you allow yourself to be used by ZANU-PF so that you can then say, guys, let's sit down and address the issue of recourse. And on top of that, you actually help ZANU-PF to divert our attention, from real issues. And we are here, Pama Spaces, focusing on all this, trying to even deliberate and find ways of maybe probably correcting ourselves. We have got problems, far more important problems that we need to be addressing in this country. And we have these guys. Now mazanu pia supporters vanouya panapa. If Zeki kazi yakanganisa, unoona ana Sheki vanouya vachidefenda zanu Zeki. Pamadhezi akupe vaimhanya nakupe, madhezi eMDC vaimhanya neMDC naDhagi. So why does ZANU-PF always come and try to defend everything that fights Nelson Chamisa? It is cosmetic to say my brother Nelson, brother in what sense, in what context? Here he's a liar, brother a liar all the time. You've got all these nasty ways that you actually describe your brother. No, we do not want that. It's also to not expect our constructive criticism. Go kuma platforms aripo. Respect whatever the party is doing. And can only make grievances are yes, if you love your party, you actually go through the ranks. You go through everything, knock at every door and say, guys, even if you're not going to listen to me, this is I will continue speaking about this to strengthen the party, not to weaken the party. And then you say, guys, come down and let us talk about all these things. It's laughable. Right now, Anoya Sheikh Anucharo Tanzans that ZANU-PF is formidable. Yes, they openly said it. We are the courts, we are everything. They are the army, they are the police. Right now, we are not even allowed to actually exercise our democratic right to demonstrate against maybe certain things that are not okay in our country. But ZANU-PF is allowed to do whatever they want. They go and demonstrate. You talk about the formidability of a party. What formidable are you talking about? It's pure abuse of power. Call it as it is. I would understand. I would actually look at you as someone who is a sound mind. A gold mafia, person who was actually involved in. Guys, let us not make this a mockery. Let us be factual, honest. Here we wanted to interrogate what Tshabangu is saying. We wanted to interrogate all the things that Tshabangu was actually claiming. I asked him about the documentation. He just mumbled, blabbing about it. I expected him to come here and say, guys, I've got legitimate case. This is what we do here. Uncle Gerard, please share the constitution. This is the constitution. This is everything. Put everything in the forum for people to see, so that we can actually understand your position. We have never heard you saying we met at this particular date and time with so and so, and we deliberated on this, and we come to an agreement that this is what we are going to take collectively. He just comes up and actually maybe say things out of nowhere. I not use Jonathan Moyo Panapa, a person that we all know throws tantrums. He throws tantrums and attacks our party. And this is an interim SG who actually says, I cannot deny talking to Jonathan Moyo, who is known for, having an onslaught on our party. This is sad, guys. Anyway, I learned.
Not impressed. Thanks, Denzel, for that. Thanks. Klopas, I think, has dropped. Rumbi, you were coming next.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you guys are well. Thank you very much for the opportunity. All right, so firstly, I just wanted to say, for me, I'm going to behalf of some women who kind of share the same sentiment as mine, is we are extremely, extremely disappointed. The last time I checked, men were people who would come and protect a society. Men are people that we respect. That culture that we had, it's heartbreaking and disappointing that we are sitting with men who are literally destroying every move or every step we take to be a better society. They are on a rampage to actually assassinate it's heartbreaking. You start asking yourself, where is the vision? Where is the legacy? Where are the plans? Where are we really going? There's no map. There's literally nothing. It's to not nasi ngatika ngodya nasi chete zvatopera. Nasi ndiri mugod mafia. But who knows what mangwana nomuka waita stroke mukadzi akurana neighbor. The lack of understanding. Because pandiri nasi, I'm not going to be the way that I am to forever. It's just so sad and disappointing that this is where we are today, Zimbabweans. When you look at our neighbors' countries, I don't care, Malawi may have their own issues, may even be poor, but just having the structures where there aren't be no drama. If we have to outsource counsel, that within the parameters of our borders, we can't talk among ourselves as brothers, but knowing that waurora tete vangu vanoera soko, oh ndivamenini vangu uri hama yangu, wakarora oh nditete vangu vanoera shiri. We have forgotten the humanity that we had, the love that we had as a society, that we completely threw away, and we claim we're an educated country. Are we really educated? Because the most people who so claim they have all the badges, all the stuff, they are literally doing nothing except demolishing which that we are trying to build. Let's assume that Tshabangu has a problem as a brother. What stops us to sit around the table? I know for sure Tshabangu is on PF's project. The footprints are all over the place. It's so embarrassing. I'm having like Shaggy. Shaggy is a brother of mine who is preaching the word of Jesus Christ. In the very same church that he is, there are people who are completely tattered with poverty, who are suffering. But he can stand right here and begin to support this nonsensical that is being introduced by Tshabangu. And then I begin to ask my question and said, do you even consider the masses that are poor in your church? Or it's about you when you go there driving and passing, when you're showing your worship God what you just bought in Dubai, that see me now, I think I'm watching your one. See me now, this is my house. Everyone come to my house and see the life that I'm living. That poverty mentality is what we are trying to assassinate as Zimbabweans. It's okay and it is normal. It doesn't have to be Makantiwa, who's supposed to be followed by journalists who Tenga BMW. We know in South Africa, people buy the most expensive cars. But yet you are sabotaging destinies of thousands, millions of Zimbabweans. You have humiliated. People died. People were tortured. The lack of the fear of God is what breaks my heart. But here's the thing that I'm going to tell you. God is very patient. You let you stretch as much as you can. But I'm so glad that there will be a time, because now we are having these meetings and they're carrying on. People are not stopping. Right now, talk to Lumumba. I saw when evil was happening, but when shit started happening in my court, mind my word, I saw my wife being used by someone. It broke my heart. I understood the power of treating someone with respect. I guess when you go back now, you always have to remember that God is watching you. Forget about all these political gimmicks that you are trying to come up. We are not stupid. We are smarter than devils. We are wise. Political gimmicks. Are you telling me that Chamisa should lower the bar of principles to go and follow a man who's trying to destroy lives of millions? Not because Chamisa has to be a president. Now the question I have is, do you guys have a problem with Chamisa being a president of Zimbabwe because he's 45? Does that bother you because he's 45? Are you hurt with the fact that Chamisa can be the president of the Zimbabwe at the age of 45? Forgetting that he's your brother, that your son or your daughter tomorrow can wake up in the president of Zimbabwe. What kind of people are we that does not think about the future? Who are so limited to today? Poverty mentality. And we are saying, as women, we are sick and tired of the nonsense that's going on in our society. We are expecting you men, to stand up if we expect our respect and rise up and do what's right and restore the family structure that we had. A family of love, of unity, and of respect. I thank you.
Yeah, that was a lot there, Sister Rumbi. Much appreciated that.
Yes. So continuation. Just to let you know, yeah.
Thanks for that. Yeah, Rumbi, I can't add or subtract much. Thank you for that. So what would do Panewa and Wachiripo guys that have spoken? I'll give OT and ABM, I think, and JT haven't spoken. Then the guys Waripo who have spoken, maybe we can give you one short back so you can drop. So if I give ABM, OT, then JT, please.
All right. Thank you. Is it my turn, right, Titus? Right?
Yeah. Go ahead, baby.
Okay. Hope I find you well. Well, I know a lot of you are not well because you finally heard Tshabangu, and he came up and he said some things, and unfortunately, I didn't catch the beginning of the conversation that you guys were having. But I did. Time difference, guy. Time difference. Look at that. Kuzomuka got come on, man, is it fair? Enough fair, But but no, it's very good that at least he's talked to people and he's putting himself out there. Because obviously this is an administrative issue, guys, and that's what I think a lot of people are not getting. This is a whole administrative issue, which is not as much political as people want to make it seem. A lot of people want to suddenly find ties to ZANU-PF or anything. No, this is an administrative issue which should have been taken care of. But then the loopholes that were left, and unfortunately, Chabangu, your person who has a long history with the opposition is the one who's heading this. This has nothing to do with ZANU-PF. I don't think there's any proof at all. I did hear him say that you cannot blame me, and you cannot say I'm a bad person because I talked to Jonathan Moyo. But then you guys went on now and you're vilifying him because you're saying that confirms that he's talking to Jonathan Moyo. It's like looking for any shred of evidence, ZANU-PF Taiwan apa, a kind of thing. And I think that's really running away from the true facts of the matter. Yesterday or the day before yesterday, I came up and I said, there's a uniform statement that's going on among CCC, the elders, so-called elders that sat and gave their presentation a few days ago, and then there was also, I've forgotten, another CCC member. And but then Chabangu also underlines and underscores the issue that I said that these guys had an agreement that we are going to win the presidium, and then this your concerns will be sorted in that way. Now that the presidium has not been won, that's why this is happening. You hear them all say that there were issues and concerns before the election, but it was too late, and we said, okay, we'll figure it out after. And these are the facts, guys. Let's not be emotional about this. I've heard it myself. Right, and now that Nelson Chamisa did not win the presidency, now they're saying we're going to rectify those things, like they're saying the imposition of candidates, especially, um, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. So I don't think, guys, number one, I think it's lazy thinking to even think that ZANU-PF has anything to do with this. And number two, I also think that you guys should listen to what these guys have been saying. They have acknowledged that there were concerns about the nomination process and the nominees. They have clearly said that. Not only Chabangu, those elders say that as well. But these were supposed to be sorted out after, because it was on the presumption that Nelson Chamisa was going to win the presidency. Now that he hasn't, now they're ironing out all their wrinkles and washing their linen in public, which is very unfortunate because it's taking away from the actual constituents that they're supposed to be representing. All right, Chabangu, to me, he's doing a disservice, just like CCC and the whole nomination process in itself. Is doing a disservice to the voters, to the constituents that they were representing. And now I hear that there's even a business group that's trying to sue these people that are not showing up for parliament processes. Because of this disengagement thing, which is playing with people once again. And this has nothing to do with ZANU-PF. So I think it's very important, guys, like you guys, CCC members, look, listen, and try and learn from what is going on right now. Right? Because this is an administrative issue. This is 2018 all over again. Because Chamisa did not have a grip on the administrative side of the political party, and then and then it seemed like he was outplayed or whatever. And now we're repeating it ourselves again, and a lot of people, unfortunately, are just so happy to try and and sugarcoat whatever is happening and try. I heard someone say that CCC does not lie. Somebody actually said that, a grown man said that CCC does not lie. We are perfect, and which is this kind of thinking that's very damaging. Because these are politicians we're talking about. You can't come up as you were Sababani Ngumbo, CCC does not lie. Come on, guys. So these are the issues, and that's my quick submission, guys.
Right.
The issues are there, and it's an issue of there were concerns before elections. And those were papered over because there was a presumption that and then Chamisa was going to be president, but he did not. Now they're pretty much taking their ball and doing whatever they're doing. But I land there. Thank you guys for the time.
Eddie, thank you. I'll go and get some coffee so I can wake up, bro.
Can we respond? Can I respond to the speaker, please?
I can give you 20 seconds just to put a comment.
Thank you so much. I think that there is something that the pro-ZANU-PF people seem to dismiss. They overlook the fact that CCC is not in power. CCC is not a government. So to judge CCC failure on something that has not happened is foolhardy, is foolishness. Then the issue of winning the presidium, I don't know where they had that meeting with who, and who said we will win the presidium, then we'll fix this. Who? Where were they? This is just McLean's, something coming out of the blue, clutching at straws, looking for something to hold and say, Papa, so that we can win, then also meet a vice president. Those are lies. There is no such thing.
Right.
That's why you see BT and Nube, they did not comment. Then, and in a question, is the last thing that is a question, Ekuti. Why is it that all gold dealers, all mega gold dealers like Shekiti Mpurwa are synonymous with ZANU-PF association? What is in it for them? And then they come here and start telling us something else, that they are clean. They are not clean at all. They are not clean. These guys are not clean. Thank you so much.
Right. Thanks, GHK. OT, then JT, please.
Thank you, my host. Just for the record, Chamisa won the election. ZANU yakapinda nekubira, and everybody knows it. No matter what you say, we saw it. Munhu wese saw it. Ane maziso akaona. Even ana adiki chaiwo knows who won the election. Saka zvokuti that illegitimate Mnangagwa is there. Azvina kana basi. He won. Chamisa won the elections. Right. As far as Tshabangu situation, my double candidates are even that. Why didn't they just move on and start their own party? Because now he has done a hostile takeover, and then it comes back with a negotiation in Chamisa. That's not how it works. Wakato, we're trying to destroy all the work. We saw Chamisa going 2-3 days, my rallies 2-3 times a day. He worked so hard. Citizens work so hard for that party. Just for one man who's working for the devil, Ongoya Oda Kungo destroy. And then we are just okay with it. No.
Okay. There's an irony about it, because apparently he's saying Chamisa is his president, and the president says no, we didn't recall anybody. We are not recalling. And he, as much as he's admitting he's his president, he's recalling people. So there's something not adding up.
Right. And then we never when the citizens and were working hard. All of a sudden tangonzwa akangomuka unge mota emhapwa, all of a sudden takunzwa kuti kuna SG vari kuuya vakudaiso on what grounds? And it's supposed to be okay. Vamwe vanhu vanopota vachingoya panapa vachida kuti hey, ZANU is not involved, ZANU is not involved. Please take that nonsense somewhere else. We don't believe that, and you don't even believe that. But you say, "Muna aripabasa," you come. You have to tell us. We all know what is going on in Zimbabwe. We all know that for us to progress in Zimbabwe, ZANU has got to go. They are the ones who are enemy of progress. All the dreams and millions of people who voted, millions of people voted for change in Zimbabwe. Just for one person to think and destroy all people's hopes. That's not now. These people we gotta fight. We need to stop all this. We all know what the problem is. We just need a good solution to get rid of ZANU, because tinogona kutaura CCC is not in power. They've never been in power. ZANU has been in power for 43 years. They could destroy no electricity for 30 days. It's all ZANU. It's all on ZANU. So it does not matter kana tikauya tikataura kuti CCC zvazodai Tshabangu zvazodai. We all know who the enemy is.
Right. My mother. Mother, can I then ask Kutizoni, you are saying Kutizo Paruda plan. Before we went into this election, the plan was to stop the steal or to say Kuti protect, the vote. And then when that plan was being, spoken about, people were very cognizant of the fact that my issues ekuti rigging or chichichi anogona kunge ari andoanga ari at the forefront, because pakutizo protecting and the vote, people were saying kutizo we want to stop the steal, and the steal is rigging of these elections. But we see this election result, it went the other way, and now there's an issue iripo ekudilane what is going on, the Tshabangu issue. And although people are saying Kutizo Tshabangu is is a person was an imposter, was a chi, and it's like what we have been told. But this guy, whatever it is that is doing, is led us to be where we are today. And he may be dismissed as a non-entity, but at the end of the day, you are seeing that he has invoked some processes that are now underway, e.g., going to the courts to try and do the reversal of the removal of MPs from parliament. So right now, faced with that scenario, what is the best way forward for the political party, and what is the best way forward in dealing with ZANU PF, as you are saying that that is what should be the aim and the goal of whatever it is that opposition does?
That's the million question. But as far as the per ballot box, I mean, my guardrails were put in, and a lot of guardrails actually worked, because the takazongona manamba angonyuka from nowhere. Because if they really showed people kuti numbers akabepi, ndopa maiona ma discrepancy papo. Ivo vakazongofitira ningirikini number dzavo and came up with that. Where those numbers come up with. So it does not matter even if my guardrails were put in. ZANU yakangono create ningirikini numbers avo. Vavatongotudza kuti ndo itoripo. Right? Because they control that. At this point in time, I actually don't even think my elections are going to work. It's not going to work, because as long as ZANU and ZEC are in cahoots, they're just going to come up with their figures and say Mnangagwa are winner when he has not won. This has to be a citizens' fight now. The citizens has to rise up. Even if you don't like to hear it, Varume, this is your fight. It's not Chamisa's fight. It's everybody's fight who is suffering. The citizens has to rise up. There is no way if it is about it. Chamira say we have to fight. I don't know how, but we have to fight.
Right.
That's true.
Thanks, Oti. Thanks for that. So I think we'll give JT. If you take the mic.
Thanks, my brother. It's I like when you said something is not adding up. The other thing that's not adding up is when Tshabangu comes and tells people that it's a consultative process that we are doing, but yet he recalls Mavuko, and what consultation was done with the citizens in Mavuko. That the process, the MP that was chosen there was not coming from within the people. So we can all see the imprint of ZANU-PF in what he's doing, because Mavuku was a likable seat for them that they really wanted it, and they are using him. To what my brother Gerard said, we can see that he's doing something. Yes, he's doing something, but he's got funders, he's got backhanders that are sending him to do that job. You see, because it doesn't add up that he talks about Matebeleland wanting to change the whole political scenario, but all of a sudden he recalls Mabuku. So they are very strategic in saying that they want to have the majority. For also, just to comment on my brother Sheki there, your name has been brought in the mud a lot, and when you were offered a space by Hopewell to clear your name when you were fingered in the gold mafia, you never did. The space was there. We are all waiting for it. And you tweeted that you are ready to come and clear your name. But you never did. But then we find you here trying to teach democracy. Yet you are being accused as part of the corrupt problem in Zimbabwe, in our country. And this is what we want to remove. So if you really wanted to clear your name, my brother, I'm sure you should have done it by now, because you are being fingered in all these corrupt deals that are linked out to the gold mafia. So this is why people are a bit, questioning you, that why then are you coming here to try to teach people about democracy, solving internal politics? And I think you said you on one of the spaces, you actually recommended that CC should not engage in this election if they feel that the election was not free and fair, or there was no reforms. It's very worrisome for me to even listen to you saying these things. I would listen to you, my brother, when you come and clear your name first regarding the corrupt activities that you have been accused of. And I think you've had so many people. The reason why they are not going to listen to your submission. Thank you.
My co-host, I'm sorry to disturb you for a second, but Munanonzi Munu, he has just put my information on per X. Can you please remove my information, please? Thank you.
Okay, I'll look into that. Uncle Jed. I don't know how long we have. The idea for me was to give back the mic to the guys that have spoken. And opening about 16, 18 requests. So I don't know how much time you've got. Uncle Jed.
Right. Yeah, I'm seeing good issue. Okay. You know what? 15:55. Right. And in kwanja zobaya preseko night, same time. Right. I think I can manage, for another hour.
All right, to finish at 5 p.m. UK time.
Yeah, let us finish at 5 p.m. UK time.
Okay.
So that I think that way what we can then do now is, if we can ask people to be brief in their submissions, let's just give people 3 minutes to say come through, make your submissions. Under 3 minutes, you give to the next. If there's ever a need, to give you another opportunity, to speak, then we can do that. But let us just give the people the opportunity. Me, I can only see 4. So, but if
I see.
but it says 16 here. The other ones, I'm not seeing them. So, yeah, I think we need to then see could Israel once but in I can only see 4 people.
Yeah, I can see them.
And it, right. So let us ask people to be brief, so that we just give them the time to speak, to react. And then would Kanata will open a space, will open another space, and and come up with another topic. I've seen Smart as Authority. Let us discuss the appointment of Valerio Sebanda. And one of the Valerio Sebanda. I think that is actually a very good topic to be talking about. So I think we can schedule a space for that, and then we can. Kunevari kuti zomukoma sheki, I think we can arrange something as well. Now mukoma sheki kuti tite space, and then we talk about politics. Those that want to interrogate him, or those that want to question him or send question to him, we can also make sure that that happens. It's like okay, let us forge ahead and bring this to a close at 5 p.m.
Cool, awesome. So guys, let's just do well, Tutamba Mangwana.
Oh, I'm going to answer.
No, Mangwana. It's Mangwana. 4 p.m.
Okay, chap.
So to the safe. Anyway.
Sakati, ndichongobatsirana kuirwa ini until we get to 5. Right.
Yeah, let's do that. Saka guys, my 3 minutes kaya tongo daro. So but those guys submitting for the second time, if we can try and do it maybe around 2 minutes. So I'll give Clint because Wambodo na Pekutanga, then I go to Tadini and Wejara. Clint, you want to take the mic, please?
Yes, thank you, co-host. I wanted to say, I think my network was actually a problem, but I think it's much better. I wanted to say, I would be surprised if people like Sheikh came here, and then there's something that I wanted to post here, but now Ango is saying he's going to arrange something with him so that he come and defend on that day that he is coming. I'll be posting something regarding him, because it would be surprised for him to come here and then say no, to condemn Tshabangu and these other things that he said, because he is part of the people who have actually destroyed the country, because they are benefiting. And
Clint, please, let's go to the topic, Amana. Because at the moment that you are now talking about Shekika, Shekwacho is not going to be doing nothing about what you're talking about. Then I think it can be it's just pointless. Just give your response to the issue at hand.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Thanks. No, I was just highlighting there. But to the issue that we have got here, it's very clear that there is ZANU-PF in this, what Tshabangu is doing, because a lot of things, the footprints are there. He actually, when the question of Jonathan Moyo was actually asked, he confirmed, that is the confirmation. Jonathan Moyo used it to tweet every hour. And he's no longer doing that because he's actually busy now crafting with this Tshabangu guy in trying to how to destroy the Triple C. Jonathan Moore is angry about Chamisa because he wanted Chamisa to fight on behalf of him, to fight Mnangagwa on behalf of him. I don't know why he was expecting that. And also the other thing that happened is that the people who were giving information out were removed by the people during the elections. That made them worse in terms of, that's why they are angry, these people. Now, the other part also that which I wanted, it will be, which I think that will never happen, and it should never happen, that Chamisa should come or should go to the table to negotiate with Chamisa. You don't negotiate with terrorists, because the level in which they are now, which is the recalling of the people that were elected. And if Chamisa could not do that at that stage, to bring and to talk to Wanzora, who was a more senior person at that time, because he had done the recalling of the people, who is Tshabangu, to negotiate with him. I don't expect Chamisa and his leadership to sit down with this guy at all. It will be otherwise. It will be to give him relevance that he does not have at all. So that is the part which I think I wanted actually to highlight. In my view, there is no need to sit down with this guy. He's actually confirming to say, no, Chamisa is my president. But if he is your president, you are not even listening to what he is actually saying, and until because he wants to use his name for this whatever elections that ZANU-PF are calling. Some another speaker put rightly so to say, look at Mavuku, because they wanted that, so they wanted that seat as well. So they are using him. He cannot continue saying no. Chamisa is my president, and so forth. We need, there's a room for negotiate. There's a room to sit down. I don't think there is that room.
But we keep hearing, my reports that are saying that people are being sent, emissaries are being sent, to Tshabangu, or some are even saying that, discussions are underway, and stuff like that, even though there's nothing, that has actually been put out there in terms of, confirmation from the Chamisa side. But you heard him here saying that, there's a lot of movement, behind, the scenes. How about if it gets, to that, or what then, would you say when, when it gets, to that? Because you are saying that we shouldn't be negotiating, with the terrorists, and yet the reports, that are coming out are saying that, there are things, that are happening, behind, the scenes.
Yeah, Uncle. One thing that I want in answering that, what I want to say is that when these elections or the selections of candidates happened, there are people that were expected in terms of obvious that they will get into parliament who did not. And those people, some of them are very, very senior, party people. And those people, they cannot actually come out and speak to say, no, this is what we wanted and stuff like that. They know the danger of that. Their political careers will be dead the day they stand up and try to say, no, we are supporting this recalling and we are the ones who are behind it. So as a result, their supporters also, some of the analysts call themselves political analysts and stuff like that. If you check now, they are the people who are now saying Tshabangu is making sense. It's making sense because they are expecting those people whom they were supporting, they want them to be in the parliament. But you don't do that way by recalling the people that were already voted. If the people were actually, if you were talking to say, well, because ZANPF, because of that, ZANPF won these seats, then it would have been something else to say, no, 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 guys, because the people that were chose, people did not want them. But they were voted by these same people. And
Right.
they are
Prepare to
they
learn, my
voted.
brother Prince.
Yes. Yeah. So in any, so I don't think that is it. Those are just speculation, and also some of the things that uh, those who support the people that who could not make into the parliament or who could not make into the leadership. Those are the narratives which they are trying to create so that it can make sense. There is nothing sense that Tshabangu is doing if you are doing the recalling. Otherwise, Wanzora would have been actually also maybe making sense in what he was doing. I thank you then.
Thanks, Clint. I think we're going to Tadini then, Wejar.
Yeah, no, great conversation as always. Hopefully, it grows into something else beyond conversations. First thing, are we giving Tshabangu relevance by speaking about him? No, Tshabangu gained relevance by his letter being accepted um, by the Speaker of Parliament, Mudenda, and the Speaker acting on that letter, and then the cycle kicked on, and the president also acting on that later. We didn't give them we didn't give him and his team, whoever they are, relevance. They already gained that from the speaker and from the president, who are all ZANU PF. Whether we choose to call him insignificant and irrelevant, it does not change that they have already been given, he has already been given access to taxpayers' money in the form of the money that has been used to kick off the process, paying all clerks and mail boys and mail women and attorneys that have to worry that to worry about that documentation and gazetting that the election is now there. And it could go further than that. It will go to a point where we'll actually have our money being spent on a by-election. And I think we're already at that point. Very few things can reverse an election once it's proclaimed. One being a state of emergency. And we are far from it. Unless the citizens choose to be unruly or something of another nature, another country invades us or something of that sort. So,
Sadin,
yeah.
sorry, a quick one. Can, if Tshabangu was to withdraw that, can that reverse it?
I think at this point I've been looking for information on that from lawyers, learned lawyers. Unfortunately, I am learned in Masimbi, in chemical, not in that. And it's a question that a lot of people so far have responded by saying no. It can't be reversed by him simply saying, you know what, I made a mistake there, I'm taking it back. We would have to see. I think it's something that hasn't happened. I had hope before in the 14 days that it's something that could be reversed. But at this point, given that we're only a few days from the actual court sitting, I highly doubt it. But the learned lawyers can talk about that. Ngoma wangu Dani might touch on it if he gets a chance. So those are the things. Atisi sutampa relevance nekuti Ngoma Gerard watipa mkana wekuti taure nezvake. If anything, our conversations are to try and remove value from Tshabangu and his actions and to speak some sense into the government and other governments that would listen to say what is happening is abnormal and should not have happened in the first place. So it is up, we can choose to create alternative realities, but the reality is already there. He's affecting us. He has been made relevant. He's costing us money, and he's also costing us representation. So kuti tiva taungana totanga kumutuka akapusa akaita sei, well, taitwa izvi nedofo. And I'm not one who judges people on their facial appearance and then conclude that if they are in a different mind of mind, then they have to be daft. No. If we agree on that, then taitwa zvaturikuitwa zvinedofo. What does it say about us and those people that we actually praise and have put to lead us? The other thing that I wanted to talk about is moving from conversation. I always tell people, as much as you speak here and you talk about anger, if you don't inject yourself into a certain path in seek organizations, you're not progressing. We can continue talking, but you need to get to a point where you actually inject yourself into something, where you actually work. And I hope it's one of those organizations such as CCC, and then you improve them. No matter what we do, kuti try to defend, kuti everyone comes up and says, no, ZANU-PF is not smart. They just do this because they are brutal. Their strategy is brutal. How do we counter it? Everyone comes up here and says, you know what, it's ZANU-PF is involved. That's an obvious thing. It's only natural. If your opponent is failing or your opponent has been weakened by something, whether internal or external, you take advantage of it. So it is not an epiphany. Could Titi ZANU-PF is involved? If anything, it would be strange if ZANU-PF was not involved. And ZANU-PF would truly be the dumbest political party that is there. So the issue is not for us to tell that Titi ZANU is involved. It's already there, ladies and gentlemen. That's an obvious one. The question is, how do we counter it in its involvement? It has been involved since 2018. It has been involved before that with a lot of people that you've called ZANU-PF, recalled, some reconciled with. It has been involved. The question is, knowing that how do you counter it and create and mount a resistance that can actually dislodge ZANU-PF? Because at the end of the day, let us not forget what objective we want. Objective is to remove ZANU-PF out of office and then to make the country a better place. Right? So it's not a win on our part to be able to identify and blame ZANU-PF. We can do that all we want. It's not going to change. Lastly, sorry, the overstrain my 3 minutes. But lastly, the solutions, how do we work through it? It is important kuti tichitanga kunyasopinda muma organizations. I repeat, some have received invitations. Take them. Join organizations that can actually do things. Then people are talking about talking about ZANU-PF and what it is doing. If you want that conversation to happen, lead it. And then join this organization to say, how do we counter ZANU? Because right now it is there and we have to be speaking to them about it. My brother Smarters used to have this other one, ends Wednesday something. The focus was ZANU and what it is doing and disseminating information about it. Revive those. Because nothing is narrowing us to focus on CCC. But what I have seen is we have an appetite. Yekuti pane pachitaurwa zvezanu pacho. Isusu that are opposed to ZANU do not necessarily participate. We don't garner the same numbers that we have here. We don't garner the same numbers. You are in your 500s, you're in your 700s. You don't. Why is it? Yet nobody could diagnose the problem of ZANU-PF and how it can be countered. What it is that we actually need to do to stop ZANU-PF, the monster that it is, and the destruction that it continues to cause. I will end it there. But thank you very much. I hope New Zealand inorowa.
Muri kusapota my box, right? I hope so too. Dr. Tadini. I think the one you were talking was Scandalous Wednesday.
Exactly.
Matters when it comes.
Ndikusapota South Africa, although my South Africans akati tanzi tisawasapoti nekuti tiri ma-international orphans.
Oh. I saw that one. That's who I support. So should I have to change it because they said that? No, I will stick to my guns. But thanks for that submission, Tadini. Kuti, ZANU is involved. It's not a question of saying are they involved, but the question is what do we do? It's a funny thing that you said the big objective here at Taura is to take them off, and yet somebody came here and said we want to be a one-party state. Sakatine, two very different extremes there. But thanks for that. So anyway, I think let's move on. So what's coming? So I think if you can make a submission, guys, and drop a mic for the second time. So Denzel, GHK, Wejara, Denzel, GHK. If you make your submissions, guys, and drop, so we can give the new speakers a chance.
Thank you. It's my turn, and I'll grab the mic. Yeah. I just liked the two ladies who just spoke here. The one that I see is OT, and I'm missing the other one. I just liked the passionate of their voices. And within their explanations, you feel the pain of a woman, you feel the pain of a mother. And Mukoma Gerard posed the question like, so what's the solution? So I think it's something that that needs to dominate our discussions going further. But to Zimbabweans or to CC members, I applaud you because remember, after Monzora did some nefarious activities and MDC could not receive money, remember the party was mainly funded by the people in diaspora who were donating these funds. So it's not like we have not been involved. I'm one of the persons that have been donating to the cause. But now there is a problem that we face of people who does an armchair analysis or an armchair approach to the predicament of Zimbabweans. But some of us, as we speak, we are very far from Zimbabwe. I'm living, I would say, comfortably where I am, right? But my concern is to a general Zimbabwean who is in Chiendambuya, whose voice cannot be heard. And we have people here who wants to talk like, you need to be diplomatic, you don't understand politics, and so forth. But let me put it this way. When in a family, there's a lot of disturbance or there's a lot of noise, mumusha, you just have to look at the head. Who is the father? That's the issue. We need to know that we have a very cunning serpent as our head. who is mainly focused on destroying. And at one moment, he mentioned it that I'm a soldier. I'm not a civilian, I'm a soldier. I was taught to kill. I think a lot of people remember that speech. So all this Mvungampopoto that is happening in Zimbabwe and a lot of nonsensical things happening, we have to look at who is the president.
Let's not.
Kundiano.
Ndoziva kuti ukarova chidhoma
Yeah.
chidhoma chacho chobuda. The topic is to address what Phugeni is doing. So I'm trying to address it holistically. That Phugeni is just a pawn in the matrix. ZANU-PF is above everything. They are orchestrating all this disturbance that is happening. You remember someone mentioned that, guys, we are focusing on Phugeni, but remember that the army general has been put in the cabinet. Our attention is being diverted because we are dealing with a cunning serpent. There's someone above there who is allowing a lot of nonsense to happen. Job Scala has been in prison without even trial, without even given access to bail. So, to wrap off, I think our main focus as of now as Zimbabweans is let's be solution-oriented. What is the plan? Let's have these difficult conversations. I remember before elections, I was like, there's some discourse that as Zimbabweans we shun or we fear to talk about. When I gave the first speech, I said openly that people like Phugeni, right? It's just a stitch that needs to be solved to save nine. And someone was saying, you are being tribalistic and so forth. When I address Phugeni, I'm not talking to Phugeni as a Ndebele guy, but I'm talking to Phugeni as a guy who is disturbing or who is favoring the Mnangagwa's idea of one retaining a two-thirds majority and also being with us beyond 2030. Remember when you say 2030, these are the actions that are happening. So when I address Phugeni and say Phugeni is to be sorted at times, because these very people, they are nonsensical. We don't need to give them much relevance. But anyway, to this issue as Zimbabweans, let's focus on right now. This is what we have. Right now, this is the devil that we have. How should we make the way forward? And the ladies who spoke here, they said, you are the man. You need to come with the solutions. I like that part. What are we doing as Zimbabweans or as men? What leaders are we going to leave? The children that are going to come, what are they going to say about us? Remember, history is going to judge us.
Right.
In 50 years or in 10 years' time. What will our grandchildren say? What did our forefathers do? Right? So here, fine, we have a despotic leader. We have someone who thinks that he will be there forever. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going beyond 20. But let's discuss on how best we can salvage the issue, even if it is giving or donating to help people who cannot have anything back home. I think that could be the solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashara. Ango Jed, I'll do the speakers of Ambotaura, then they go down. You can do the new speakers. I'll give you the lineup. So if we go to GHK, Max, GHK, Max, and OT, then they can drop. Let's go that way. Who is that? Sorry.
Denzel.
Oh, Denzel. Yeah. You coming as well. So you can take the mic, Denzel, then GHK, then Max.
All right, thank you. Inina, I just wanted to say, Kuna, I think it was ABM263 who was saying that ZANU-PF is not involved in this. I wanted to tell him, good, look, do you remember at one point in time, Triple C reported a case, good, look, we've got an imposter. What happened to that case? Did we maybe get anything from police? Were we entertained? Nothing has been done. What does that mean? I mean, it clearly shows that who controls the police. Police will not entertain anything that comes maybe probably from Triple C and is not benefiting maybe ZANU-PF. And the other thing that I wanted also to speak about is like what Dr. Tadin, I think, said at one point in time when he asked Tshabangu about the split. And he said, I think we can celebrate because there is no split I think this is just a clever way. There's no way that Tshabangu is going to come and maybe speak about splitting, because they know definitely that this will maybe derail the project. Maybe in my world of dreams, the way that I'm seeing things is power. They are trying to consolidate power. So I think they are going in stages. This is like a pilot stage. So let's say maybe Chabangu controls maybe and win maybe probably in the by-elections, maybe with the people that they are actively involved, who are actually going to show allegiance to their camp. I think there will be a next phase. And after the next phase, maybe probably now they consolidate power. They can even gang up and say, look, we have got no confidence in the president. Chamisa is not our president, and now people can actually maybe end up saying, okay, they are moving away. But I think this is it's a long time, I think, or maybe it's a long term kind of a project. It's not something that is just going to happen overnight, something like that. So I do not think that we can celebrate that there's no split. We cannot celebrate maybe saying Gudi Chabanko is trying to refer to Chamisa as a president. I think it is how they are just navigating the terrain to try and maybe make it a point that they respect Chamisa, they don't respect maybe the processes. But how can you do that when you actually do not listen? You don't sit with your president to say you agree on certain things. You are a divided camp. You go out there. You are in the battlefield. You go to the other camp. You know what? You help the other camp to be attacking you, and yet at the same time you say my commander is actually Nelson Chamisa. To me, guys, that does not really make sense. I think at the end of the day, they're just going to maybe consolidate power and end up maybe just pushing Nelson out, something like that. Thank you.
Awesome. GHK, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to put an emphasis on Kalipan Phugeni. Kalipan Phugeni is the common denominator of all opposition politics travails. Kalipan Phugeni was very active in the United Kingdom, and he lost steam and came to South Africa and managed to swarm his way into the opposition politics circles in South Africa, where he was handling Chief Ndlovu. Right now, Chief Ndlovu, Ogatien, is out in the cold because of the wrong advice that he received from Kalipan Phugeni. And he went on to handle Thokozani Kupe and became the spokesperson of Thokozani Kupe. And then he shifted when they went into the alliance with Monzora. And what happened? Thokozani Kupe went back to Triple C and he started running her Facebook page while still mollycoddling with Monzora. And then he come back now, he's handling Tshabangu. One person cannot be involved in so much travail in the opposition politics and claim to be clean. Phugeni and Tshabangu need to understand something, that tribalism is not going to help them. Matebeleland people are not stupid. Love Momo, your tribe, is in the bush. The
But
Matebeleland people
GHK,
are so focused.
sorry, GHK, help me understand though, because Phugeni is not Triple C, right? But he's advising or being a spokesman for Tshabangu, who claims to be Triple C.
Hence the reason why I'm saying he is a common denominator. Why is he being found everywhere where there is a problem in the opposition politics? Why is he there all over? All the time there is Kalipan Phugeni, right? Nevertheless, what I wanted to say is that Nelson Chamisa has political capital. Nelson Chamisa has political mileage. Anyone who thinks they can do better than him or without him, they can simply call for a congress and get rid of him. And let them go and ask Kupe. Let them ask Monzora, Komich and Mashakada how it ended. You know, Tshabangu is a personification of ZANU-PF mischief and a very bad interference in opposition politics. Mudenda is a personification of ZANU-PF flagrant disregard of law, as is Malaba. So rule of law does not exist in Zimbabwe. And this dream of Shekitumburu of one party state will never see daylight in Zimbabwe, not as long as we are alive. We are going to fight for it and we'll make sure that ZANU-PF will come to an end. Thank you, Angojed.
Awesome. GHK, thanks for that, brother. So I think Max, guys, if you've spoken, if you can just drop so we add the others. Max, are you there? Okay, brother Max might be watching Arsenal. So Uncle Jet, I'll give you the new lineup. So the guys that have come on, we've got Brother Smarters, Fox Wise, Padare. So if we can go in that order, please.
Can you repeat again? Sorry.
All right. So Smarters, Fox Wise, Padare. That's the order that's there. Oh, actually, before I go, Oti, do you want to say your parting shot before you drop?
Yes, my brother. Thank you for that, my host. Thank you again for making us have a Saturday where we can conversate. Um, what I'm just gonna say now is, we know we have a problem of Tshabangu, and I know we need to focus on that, but we also need to keep our eye on the ball. Ziso Pomeroy, we know that ZANU needs to go for us to progress. There is a lot of education brains that are out there in the world, that if we can get rid of ZANU, we can go back to Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe can be the next Rwanda. We just need to cut that cancer out. We right now, we just probably my symptom to get a symptom management. That cancer got to go. And thank you again, everybody.
Awesome. Okay. So the order that they come in, Uncle Jet, I think actually Padari, you came first, to be fair to you. So if we go to Padare,
No. Smartest came first. Don't worry. I was here.
It's me who came first.
hold on. Okay. So Fox Wise, I think they don't want the mic. So we go to Fox Wise, we go to Padare, we go to Smarters.
No, don't be rude. Owners are only that need. Now, what are the smartest out here? You just,
I'm moderating.
Okay. Chimi and Tita, okay, don't zika.
Oh, let me speak.
Because I know what you did.
Hold on.
It's a shame, really. Let me talk and then don't zika.
No.
Someone help me to understand. Somebody is being offered a mic to speak and is calling it's a shame.
No. While you saw what you did and you always.
All right. I don't know if you want to speak, my brother Mof Padare. So anyway, Fox Wise, take the mic. Then we can go to Padare. Then Smarters. Then after that, Sheki, Uncle Jedia, you can take over.
Okay. Thank you, my boss. Uncle Jet, Brother Titus. I want to thank you for this opportunity. I wouldn't want to focus much on the issue of Tshabangu because it is already, I think, thoroughly addressed. That it's something that has been set up by ZANU-PF to distract the Triple C from focusing on the issue of the national agenda. So my advice would be to President Chamisa and to all the Triple C members, supporters, affiliates, is that the main country which can hold ZANU-PF to account and to come to a negotiation table to break this impasse is South Africa. So I think a lot has not been done to engage South Africa in terms of dealing with this matter. Why I say this? It's only the president of ANC and Secretary General and a few members that went to Zimbabwe to meet ZANU-PF. But I've never seen a delegation of Triple C engaging with various political parties in South Africa. Namely, we have got EFF that doesn't hide its support.
Just to correct you there, they did send Jameson Timber, Gladys, I can't remember, the other one. Soon after, the elections, they were, in South Africa and there's even photo evidence of them meeting, the ANC. I think they then went, to other Southern African, countries to go and meet, with this. So I just wanted, to correct that.
Okay. What I'm saying is the president himself has to stand up because of pane mamwe issues ekuti unotumidzira vanhu, pane mamwe issues ekuti you yourself have to find means of him meeting these guys. The same way President Mnangagwa met President Ramaphosa in Messina. He had to meet him, you see. So even President Chamisa also has to go on a serious talk from, there are many institutions in South Africa that he can speak to until it makes sense. Kune ma-foundation akawanda ari muno, mamwe anolidwa nana former President Thabo Mbeki, vana President Zuma, vana Mohlande, all these previous presidents. They can knock sense so that this impacts. Because inoda kubatwa nyaya 2024 asati asvika kune ma-elections eSouth Africa, so that they can address it. Because of my problems in Zimbabwe are affect also South Africa. And the bigger country here in Southern Africa, in a grip in this Southern Africa, even in security matters, is South Africa. So, aungatanga unotaura nemama countries madiki, vanana Mozambique vasatori ma problems. Even if President Ramaphosa vakaita sekuti varusapota sana, but it doesn't mean kuti if you sit down with him and ukatumira vanhu vari proper kuti vataure now, things will change and he can change his mind and call for a dialogue. Because of my moves are with ZANU-PF at the moment, aavhumidzi even MCCC or any other party kuti apinde mumaroads or whatever other forms of resistance. So zvema-legal routes ndo direction iri kupiwa neZANU. CCC should not focus more on kuendeswa ma-courts and so forth, because it's a direction iri kutoitwa, it's like playing to the game riri kusetwa ne-opponent. So the mediation route is the only chance and the only time that they have to mediate is this chance. Because right now, South Africa needs a stable Zimbabwe. ANC needs a stable Zimbabwe. Never mind those public stands. On the ground, some of us were working with these guys. The very guys at the top. They don't want that situation that is happening there. So it needs him to calm himself and also meet their demands as well. Then everything will go. Otherwise, these other internal issues, you can even leave it and focus on that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, for that presentation. Let us go to the next speaker, please. Our time is now 16:35, so we'll try, everybody was good. Everyone was on the speaker, panel. I'm going to make sure that, you say, something, and I'm going to make sure, that you speak. So let us go to the next speaker. Was it Padare?
Yeah, you
All
know,
right, okay.
I'm just going to try and play this out from the way you guys say that it is ZANU-PF's making. I'm going to try and celebrate why it is brilliant for ZANU-PF to actually then, my father died when I was young, and I know my father's grave is safe under ZANU-PF command. Because if you can actually penetrate an opposition and make them think the way they are thinking and get so angry and not find anything in the fault of their own and blame it on ZANU-PF excellence in actually forming their mindset, destroying their party, because if MDC was penetrated by Monzora, because Monzora is ZANU-PF, and then it came to a distraction. And then Chamisa runs away and creates something that he thought it was superior in its nature. And then it's now being penetrated again by ZANU-PF. What is your purpose? what is your actual purpose in the political ground, really? So it means you can't really lead anything, that is of substance. You know, mashara zvenyuti ngoma chekiwa angachitizo one party state. Zimbabwe command really the highest formation on our land. There's nothing, there's no opposition who sits there anyway. It doesn't really matter. So what you guys do, you are making Zimbabwe, wasting time by not celebrating Tshabangu. Tshabangu is a man who's giving you guys something to work with, not from Zanu people to work with. It makes sense of you. Maybe it is you smarters, or maybe it is you tighters who really need to sit down at Tshabangu. Listen, we are better politicians than Chamisa. And this is what you need to be doing. All of you are crying, oh, there's no one with a better name. There's no one who can bring citizens. There's no one who can beat ZANU PF than Jamisa. He's failed in 2028, in 2018. He's failed in 2023. And you're still crying that he's going to beat ZANU PF. When? In 2070. I'm actually excited that a whole grown-up man and women come up here after giving us a strategy that it was going to be a brilliant strategy. Today you're all crying. This man is being said by ZANU PF. Wow, what a machine ZANU PF is. What a brilliant machine. This guy literally gave Chamisa an opportunity to learn how to dialogue. This guy is giving Chamisa literally an opportunity for him to do conflict resolution. This guy is actually kind of beating Chamisa and aligning him in order to say, how can he be a leader or a statesman that can be respected outside there by other political parties and so forth. This notion of saying it's relevant to have the ear of the South African president and you're dreaming about it, it can actually happen. If actually articulating it, it means it may be in your dreams. It has also come in your dreams that Chamisa can actually sit down on a diplomatic and political mission right now, this long after the election of Zimbabwe with Ramaphosa and negotiate some path, and yet he cannot negotiate with Tshabangu. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. You can be insultive, you can be critiquing of what we are saying here. It doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, this man created his path, his own path, and he's gone into a situation which you said was perfect. He's penetrated it. He's actually holding Chamisa to account on his own will. And now, Chami, you are going to go to the courts. It does not matter the outcome of those courts and so forth. The president has already called for those elections, and those elections will happen. There's two things left now. Either Chamisa, wait, let me just land. Either Chamisa, right, listens to this guy, like he said, there's negotiations going on, and be bold enough to learn, or he again extracts with the said people who do not want to hold him to account. He's going to be rewarded anyway with the protest vote in Zimbabwe. And it's a fact. There's always going to be an angry vote in Zimbabwe, which is going to reward Chamisa. It's a fact. But is it going to be significant to what he's trying to think and bring to Zimbabwe? No, it's not. Absolutely not. We shall see you in 2070. Perhaps maybe that's when Chamisa might just scrape to be the president of Zimbabwe.
Right, smarter than this.
Thank you, Uncle Jeda. Thank you so much. I just wanted to start by congratulating you, my brother, just for managing to host Tshabangu. Right? So this.
Let me get down. I can't hear you.
Okay. All right. That's fine. You can take yourself down. You don't need to announce it anyway. Alrighty. So yes, so Uncle Jeda, congratulations. This speaks to your maturity and also to the fact that you are the only person who is able to run these progressive spaces on X, right? So in as much as I may disagree with Tshabangu on so many things, just your ability to bring him to a platform where we can engage him, where we can listen to him, right? Just as Democrats or as democratic as we are, it's always good to hear the other side of the story. I'm always reminded of Proverbs that if you just give one person to come and testify, you will think whatever they're telling you is gospel. But just wait for cross examination. That's where you will see the gaps. Then the second point that I just wanted to mention, it's always difficult to deal with people who are bitter and angry, right? Because they've got this habit of self-destruction. They will destroy themselves out of the bitterness. Especially someone who can be angry for ZANU PF or to be angry on behalf of politicians. Politicians who are in Gweru right now. And as we speak, Visbanda is now a ZANU PF Politburo member. And do you know the person to blame, Ango Jedza? It's Nelson Chamisa. If Nelson Chamisa had managed to put structures in place, if he had managed to announce his constitution, if he had not gone with the Beregamwan, then we wouldn't have seen this complete militarization of our politics. So that's a ZANU PF narrative there. When you see an army commander joining ZANU PF's highest decision-making body, right? That speaks to ZANU PF as a structure, and also it speaks to ZANU PF as a political party. But also it speaks to the fact that in ZANU PF, there might not be, smart people or people who are capable to take these roles. That's why you see, they are always recycling people who are exhausted, people who are tired. And that's exactly what we are seeing. And moving on to Tshabangu's submission. I was listening to Tshabangu and I just want to draw some parallels from what I picked from Tshabangu's submission and what I'm accustomed to hearing on spaces, especially listening to Padare. Pachabangu and Padare, they sound the same. And for me, I can only blame bitterness, right? I can only blame the anger, right? So when you are dealing with the issue of recalls, this has got nothing to do with the political rhetorics. To say, the people of Blawayo, this and that, trying to throw around the tribal cards and all that. We deal with facts because he chose to rely on a specific provision of the Constitution. And when you look at that provision of the Constitution, if you are going to try it and test it, it's tried on the basis of evidence. What evidence are you going to take to the court, right? And always you know that once you have made an allegation, you must prove. You who alleges must prove, right? So Tshabangu made serious allegations to say these people have ceased to be members of Triple C. So because of that narrative, it's not Triple C's case right now, right? It's not the honorable member, the MP's case to go there and say, Tshabangu, we are here to defend that position. So Tshabangu is supposed to tell the court, and also he's supposed to tell the people of Zimbabwe the processes that were taken by this political party called Triple C, pursuant to the termination of membership or suspension of those MPs before he made such a decision that I feel it was rushed. But that's the thing, when you're dealing with someone who cannot manage emotions. Because if you can't manage your emotions, you are used to making some rushed decisions that will come back to bite you. Right. Then the point that I just wanted to make as my second point is, when Tshabangu was making his submission, he said, I think there was a question that came from the floor to say, hey, buddy, what's stopping you from recalling other MPs from Harare? or from other constituencies, then his response to that was, we are just waiting for the court ruling, right? Which is a confirmation of what we've been saying. So the narrative that's coming from ZANU PF is to say, oh, Tshabangu ndiari kurira, Tshabangu ndiari panyanga, he can wake up tomorrow and call Nelson Chamisa to order, right? Because, Zimbabweans, we claim to be learned. We claim to be illiterate, right? But now when when we look at the application of that knowledge, I think it really leaves a lot to be desired. In the fact that you have one person who is saying, I respect Nelson Chamisa as my president of the political party. And in that vein, that same sentence or same argument, he's saying, no, I was the campaign manager for Nelson Chamisa, and I want him kuti angoti pwe, akangoti pwe, then I'm going to produce evidence. What, like, you are bringing in arguments after arguments, even pampacho pausiri kutomboitiswa now, right? You are just in that mode, defensive mode. Why uri kuvhunduka chatikwata, right? That's the question, to say, why are you always in that defensive mode? Tshabangu. The issue here is he made a claim, right? He made a claim, and he's supposed to substantiate it. Let's vindicate it. So we can listen to the emotional Padares. We can listen to ZANU PF people. We can listen to a lot of people, with so many narratives. But the issue before the courts is those members there were allegations to the effect that the members had ceased to be triple C whatever members, right? And that has to be proved. So once that has been proved, then we go to the issue here, the proclamation, which is going to be my last point as I prepare to land. Right. So there was a question, I think it was Titus who asked it to Dr. Tadin to say, let's say Tshabangu decides today to say, oh, guys, allow me it looks like to recover just from my madness. I made a rash decision. I made a mistake. Those MPs, they were not supposed to have been recalled in the first place. So if he makes a U-turn, the question was, do you think the Speaker of Parliament will be able to reinstate or to reverse the decision? Right. And my opinion on that is, since now we do have a case which is before the court, what Tshabangu would need to do is to come up with a sworn-in affidavit, right? Once he has come up with that sworn-in affidavit, also in response to the the case that's before the courts, right? Because he was cited as a respondent. Then with that affidavit now, the court can then make it can then pronounce itself, right? With an order, right, in support with the court application. And that order will give an instruction to the Speaker of Parliament. Right now, as we speak, there's no way that we can wish, Tshabangu to just wake up tomorrow and say, hey, guys, reverse deal. It doesn't work like that. So there has to be some order. There has to be some proclamation from the courts. Then from that proclamation, then we are going to see, the mistake being corrected. That's what we are waiting for. But maybe last point, Ango Jedza, the question that may come from the neutrals, especially the neutrals, is, but why are you going to the courts? You have always been on record saying the courts are captured. So why do you expect the leopard to change its spots this time around? And in response, our response is quite obvious. There is an issue of a dispute. Courts are there to resolve disputes. Courts are there to adjudicate the matters, right? It's unfortunate we cannot take these matters into our own hands, especially in a country where ZANU-PF will abuse the military against the citizens, right? As evidenced by the appointment, General Sibanda today in Gweru. That will be my submission. Thanks, Uncle James.
But Babo Smarters, are you not being sort of whatever? Because they're saying the courts are there to settle,
Yes.
disputes. There was a dispute of the election, where the courts were not used. So, what is the difference now?
Difference.
In this scenario, and one, for the,
Okay,
election.
quickly to respond to that question, Ango. What is the difference now?
Yes, you're going to, because I'm
Yes,
asking.
yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Oh, thank you. So the difference
Yes.
is after the elections, we're supposed to go to a constitutional court, right?
Yes.
So going to the constitutional court, we are going there with a petition, right? And a petition has got, it has got certain requirements for you to be able to file that, for that petition to be, for you to be able to file it successfully, right?
Right.
And now when you look at those requirements, you will notice that because of the 2018 ruling, which was flawed, the expectation that's out there, right, is for us to follow the 2018 requirements that were set by the court. And what am I saying?
Right.
And what am I saying?
Yeah,
Exactly. That the precedents, right?
Yes.
Right. So when you go back to 2018, there was an issue to say, why didn't you open the ballot boxes? Why didn't you bring the V11s? Right?
Yeah.
So when you go to 2023, that same question will be asked. Right? But the response or the answer to that is ballot V11s will not show, right? It will not, cannot work as evidence that ballot papers were only delivered in Warren Park, 12 hours after maybe the polling stations had been closed, right? So you can't find that information on a V11. Second point, you cannot find the fact that FARS had some, what they called the whatever, those desks. Okay, let's talk.
Yeah, exit.
Yes, those desks.
Exit
Yeah,
polls.
the exit polls. Yes, that's the word that I was looking for. So V11s will not show the exit polls, right? And these exit polls by FARS, they played a pivotal role, right, in as far as intimidation is concerned. You cannot see that information on a V11. The third point, V11s are not going to show that ZEC did not produce or ZEC failed to produce a voter's roll in a format that's auditable, format that's verifiable. You cannot find that information on a V11, right? But because of 2018 now, because ZANU-PF is very clever, right? They'll give you a narrative so that you can run with that narrative. So the narrative that's out there is V11. Now you should concentrate on polling agents. Make sure that you have polling agents in each and every polling station. So when ZEC came now, what did they do? They made sure that in some specific polling stations, polling agents were or V11s were not released to these polling agents, right? Because of the 2018 precedent. So for that reason, now you have a petition where Malaba benefited from a constitutional amendment in complete violation of our constitution, right? If you were to increase tenure, Mnangagwa's tenure right now, right? Or any person who is in the office, the constitution is very clear to say that that change cannot benefit the person who is already in the office, right? So in complete violation, so you look at Malaba, right? So Malaba is a beneficiary. There's no way that you can expect him, to fight in your corner all of a sudden. Because the moment Malaba decides to cross, floor, to cross to Triple C, for instance, right? There is a risk on his life as a judge, what's Malaba's Chief Justice, as Chief Justice, right? Right. As you can see with other justices, as you can see, remember the judge who gave Job Sikala bail that time. She had to flee the country.
Yes, this woman
exactly.
was,
I think it was Ndevera. Ndevera or something, right? So those are the costs that really, and the risks that come with, judicial decisions. So we don't have the judicial independence. So for Malaba to be able to make that decision, there has to be some guarantee on his on his security.
What can stop Malaba from flexing his muscles here in this high court case? If you are saying that Malaba is so powerful, because we've had reports whereby there was this allegation that Malava goes to the magistrate courts, every Monday morning. He gives, a directive, stuff like that. So if he can flex his muscles, like that, and influence,
Okay.
decisions, as we are saying,
Malaba is
what
that
can stop him from flexing his
okay?
muscles? In this case here,
Yes. Malaba is just like that your high school sweetheart, right? Your high school sweetheart would allow you to do everything else.
to take cash, take
Yes,
cash.
but but she will not allow you to score, right? And
Uh,
only to give it to
uh,
someone
but,
out
uh,
there
uh,
because they can right.
Sungana-
So
Sungana-
hold on.
Yo,
So
Sungana,
Malaba,
Sungana wangu unomborwana ku-
and didn't want. So that same high school sweetheart, right? While least Arugundira to score, there's someone out there, right? Who's got unlimited
Right, okay.
access because of influence that they have. So Malaba will allow you Triple C to win these small cases, right? But when it comes
Right.
to the presidential petition, you cannot expect Malaba to rule in your favor. So there was a damning report that came from SADC to say our judiciary is captured. So just to try to, kungotinyaradza or to pacify us, he will allow you to win these small court cases. But when it comes to the petition, because the petition deals with the appointer or the appointing authority, right? So the petition, that was an advantage. Kana tichitamba masports tinoiti give, right? Uri kunyasoona kuti hausati wapinda mugive range, wangorova magreen and you are 5 meters away, but Malava versus Mnangagwa wangoti your excellence give, right? But you cannot expect the
But
same.
that speaks, but now that speaks, so what you're simply saying here
Gerald,
is that speaks to the judicial character.
Yes,
So, and
Gerald.
you are saying, Buddhism, these guys, they can play it, either way.
yes,
They can give you small wins
yes.
and,
They'll
stuff like
give you
that.
small
So
wins.
if,
But when it comes to
yes,
issues
so,
that really matter, oh man,
yeah.
there's no way that you are going to win there.
But
Gerald.
on this one here, there's an accusation
Yes,
that is saying that ZANU PF is looking for 2/3,
yes.
majority. Can you say that this is a small matter if that accusation, arises? Say ZANU PF is looking for a 2/3 majority. Yesterday, I had, the chance from the Mashingo province, I think what Ngangoramba Ishtonga Zake, and we are looking at that, and we are looking at that picture. There was an SI that was that was put out yesterday that is speaking to the use of the US dollar until 2030, and this is way beyond the tenure of Emerson Mnangagwa because his second term ends in 2028, and he's making decisions for 2030. And if the constitution is to be followed, it means in 2030, you're not there. So the issue of him wanting to grab power and want to remain in power, it cannot be taken seriously to be a small issue that will not warrant, the interference of the judicial to make sure that that two-thirds majority, is achieved. So is this a small matter, really?
Okay, Ango Jedza, just to respond to that, we were
Yeah.
sold a dummy by ZANU PF. Is this issue of 2/3 majority? To me, it's a dummy in the sense that
Okay.
ZANU PF does not need 2/3 majority to urinate on top of
So I mean the
to
constitution.
urinate on top of our heads, right?
Matish Bondi.
Yes. So they will not need 2/3 majority, as demonstrated by the president. So when you look at the temporary powers, he can change anything, right? He can wake up anything and say, hey, so he can wake up any morning and say, now I decide to change this law. And our politics is just militarized. There's nothing that you can do. Mungandidi. The same
Right,
way that you can make
right.
appointments, and there's nothing that you can do. The same way that they can remove Mugabe using military, using force, and there's nothing that you can do as Zimbabweans. So for us to think, in the same way that they will steal elections from us, like what they did this year, and there's nothing that you can do about it. So there's nothing that's going to stop ZANU-PF from saying, okay, fuck the constitution, fuck the two-tenure thing. Now I've decided to change everything. We are Chatonga kusvika 2030, especially when you look at the appointments that are happening with the military being involved and making sure that whatever, there's nothing that's going to stop ZANU-PF from saying, okay, Chiwenga, you are the president, right? Unongori president, Jezita, a ceremonial president, right? While if the Mnangagwas, what my V president, my VP, and power. There's nothing that will stop ZANU-PF from doing that. So this 2/3 thing to say they want 2/3, they what, it's just a dummy. If they wanted it, if you look at the way they rig, the way they steal from us, the way they just the way they do their things, man. They don't
Right.
need parliament. They don't need the constitution. They'll just do
Okay.
it the ZANU-PF way.
Okay. Okay. If you can learn.
Exactly. So they'll just do it. Yes.
Thank,
So
yeah, thanks
my
for the
final
judgment.
words, Ango, just as I go down, ZANU-PF will do whatever they want in Zimbabwe, right? Up until a point, or up until such a point where we'll say enough is enough as Zimbabweans. The constitution is not going to help us. SADC is not going to help us. Zambia, or diplomas and all that. That's not going to help us. And my call, my plea, my ask is for Triple C not to participate in the by-election. MPs that are left in parliament, they resign in mass. They have one-party state. They do whatever they want, to the point where we have a burning platform in Zimbabwe, and it forces us to jump out and respond the ZANU-PF way. Otherwise, constitutions, politics, parliaments, institutions, they will not stop ZANU-PF from doing whatever they want. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, for that engagement. Appreciate. Right. I want to go to the next speaker. I want to ask Sheki to come through. Mena Jatwa. Mena Jatwa. Sorry, Ningi. No one was towering because in my mind, I don't know what in the Manashatwa. But anyway, sorry, it's Mena Jatwa. Right, okay. You are going to, come next, and then Mkoma Mono, you come after my brother, the Mena. Right, so, Sheki, take the mic.
Thank you so much, Gerald. Thank you so much. Okay, first before I jump into, I heard people saying I said we need a one-party state. Don't put words in my mouth. I'm not the person who said that. I think there was a guy who came Mangachin's Lord something. He's the one who spoke about the one-party state. And then I'm coming back to Smartage, and there's a guy at around Dr. Tadini. I don't know if you remember, and Sumona. You see, Gerald, having a conversation with people who are articulate and factual like Smartage, na Dr. Tadini, it's exciting. Because you get to the point of actually addressing the real problems that we are having within the Zimbabwean political spectrum. And why I would say that is, if you checked, the first time I spoke, if you checked the type of resistance, the type of insults, the type of accusations and allegations that were being thrown at me, simply because I was saying facts, is very, 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 very shallow. But when I was listening to Smartage Achitaura and he was articulating the constitution, he was articulating how really deep state power works. You can understand if we have got people like that in the opposition party, it's good because a good, strong opposition party is very good when it comes to the checks and balance of democracy. You get the point? Though I might have some disagreements with them in some facts, but having a debate and a discussion with people who are articulate, like what Smartage was just doing right now, is he was teaching people about the constitution, he was teaching people about how it works, he was teaching about the issue that happens with why Triple C didn't go to the courts because of precedents that was sent. And because he actually taught people how law functions. But the most unfortunate thing when it comes to that fact is, according to what you are saying, the most difficult thing that the opposition needs to deal with is the amendment of the constitution. Because according to the way these things, the way they are being done, it's constitutional. That's why you see, you are saying if they had to go to the courts, they were never going to win because there's the issue of the precedent that was set. And the court, according to our common law in Zimbabwe, there's what they call standing by the decision that was made by the previous court. So they were going to face the same challenge that they faced in 2018. But how do we deal with that? We amend the constitution so that it can be able to be to interpret the fairness that we want. We level the playing field so that we can be able to have the democracy that we want. So this will be my parting words, my brother.
Right. Thank you very much for that. But he, in his submission as well, he then spoke about this capture that is existing to such a point that even if you want to do anything, because ZANU-PF is in control, ZANU-PF is controlling everything, ZANU-PF has captured everything. Even when we try to want to talk about this amendment of the constitution to allow or to correct these things, that reality will never exist for as long as ZANU-PF is in power, is in control, because of the way that it has captured everything. It's like ZANU-PF just wakes up and decides to say we'll give you this, this will not give you. So how can that be tackled?
Okay, let me show you something that is happening, that happens, or that is happening within our political system or within Zimbabwe. Gerald, ZANU-PF, we have what we call a bicameral system. So a bicameral system is whereby we've got two houses of National Assembly, which is the Senate and the National Assembly. So if you check, ZANU-PF always makes sure the Senate, they make sure they win the Senate. So if there's any bill that wants to be introduced within the country, that bill can be introduced from either houses, whether the National Assembly or whether the Senate. With the only bill that cannot be introduced from either of these, but only the National Assembly, is the money bill. So what happens is, according to our constitution and how laws are made in Zimbabwe, that's what we call constitutional. So if there is any law that needs to be made in Zimbabwe, there are people who can come, whether it's going to ZANU-PF or Triple C, can be able and go and discuss within their own party, and their party members, they will go and then they will make sure they start echoing that bill within the National Assembly or within the Senate. That's what opens the debates. The other way a legislation can be made in Zimbabwe is when the cabinet sits, and the head of the cabinet, which is the executive, the cabinet is not the parliament. The cabinet is under the executive. Under the executive, that's where you see the president. And when the cabinet sits, they then send their minutes or their notes or whatever that they want to be policy to the attorney general. The attorney general is a person who's appointed by the president. And if it comes back to the House of Assembly, the House of Assembly can debate, they can do whatever that they want from the Senate, going back forth, it goes to the Parliamentary Legal Committee. After that, every bill is ascended to the president. What is ascending? Ascending is when the president signs in a bill, and when he signs in a bill, that's what makes that bill the law. You get the point? So whatever you guys are going to discuss within the parliament, whether you're 286, it is still going to come back to the ascending of the president. That's what makes that law. And that's what we agreed. Because remember, the Constitution of Zimbabwe says it's a sui generis document, which is it's a law in its own category. It binds all of us. You get the point? So if that's what we agreed, if that's what the constitution that we are standing with, it means we agreed to give the president that kind of power that Matish was talking about. You get the point? So if the president chooses to say, okay, I don't agree with whatever that the bill that the parliament has been able to make,
the PVO, is it the PVO bill which
the patriotic bill?
Yeah, which he did not. This one is it the PVO? The one to do with
the patriotic act.
Yeah, which he did not sign. There's a bill that he did not sign, which went to his desk.
But if you check what happens? If the president then chooses, okay, he's got the right to refuse to sign it or to sign it in 90 days. So if he says, I'm not going to sign this bill, he sends it back. It's either you guys in the parliament, you have to amend to the needs that are being ushered by the president. That's according to our constitution. That's what's expected. You get the point? Right. If you send it back, the president also has the right, according to our constitution, to dissolve the entire parliament and recall the elections.
Right. So it means here, even if you were to put up, even if there were these amendments that will sort of deal with the things that are being disputed, if Mnangagwa wants to sign that, it's up to him to sign, or if he doesn't want to change things, he will just ignore things, and things will remain just like that. So this is where now it becomes an issue to say that like what most people, like what smarters say, that every power everything is now resting in the hands of, ZANU-PF, and everything is at the mercy of, ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF decides, whatever it is that it wants, to do. And then now, then comes, the issues of, the elections, everything. Should we really be having, these elections if this power majorly, remain, with ZANU-PF?
Right. You see, Gerald, the question that you're asking, remember when I started coming in, when I was talking about Tshabangu and what he was submitting, and I said, you guys are undermining this guy, but this guy, if you listen to him, is coming from a point of Sobal. He's being guided by experts who understand our constitution.
Right.
The reason why we have got the world of politics is the only ground that can level the injustice that we might see in the constitution. But according to the constitution that governs us as Zimbabweans, you guys, you talk about moral uprightness. Moral uprightness does not exist when it comes to the issue of constitution. Do you get the point? And most people, they confuse that, Gerald. They want morality to prevail. But that's not how the constitution works. There is bad law, there is good law. As long as it's enforceable by the state, that's what makes law. Whether it's just or moral, that's another issue. Right now, nasi munomu muZimbabwe mukanzi mapaswa mutemo uri kunzwa Gerald. Wekuti tati mutemo wayo kutoti munhu anorora mwana munhu ane any age. If we agree, if the constitution amends that and that becomes law, whether it's not morally correct, Gerald, that's law.
Who remain?
The morality of it, that's another fact. Even if you go back to my students, the law, they will tell you, they say the role of law is to at least try to attain morality, but law is not moral.
Absolutely. This is why, we've got a discipline of morality and law, trying to separate, the two.
You get the point. So when we come in and say, okay, you guys, look at what Tshabangu is doing, investigate these things so that you can understand where this guy is coming from. Guess what? I was being attacked.
But Sheki, wait, I understand what you're saying. But when we have Malaba tenure being extended, was that not bastardizing the same constitution that you're saying? Because you are speaking as if our constitution, I believe our constitution is okay, it's good, it's the way it is. But we have seen it being twisted to fit a narrative, to fit
Let me show you something, Titus. There is what we call the Presidential Measurement Act that was being spoken by Smartage. According to that act, the president is allowed to make any type of law he wants as long as it lasts 6 months.
Right.
That's according to the constitution. So if you are going to argue whatever law he puts in place, when you have given him the power to do that by an act that is in your constitution, whose problem is that?
But now the president is overstepping. Right now we have got this SI that is saying that, he's extending the use of the multi-currency, including, the US dollar until 2030. That is more than 6 months.
Gerald, I want you to see something, my brother. You guys, you always call me evil. I'm showing you something here. Okay, let's go to during the Mugabe era. There is a time Mugabe realized that there were demonstrations that were being done in the CBD. Right? And Mugabe then consulted his legal experts and they told him, we need to make sure we change the jurisdiction of what is called the CBD. Mugabe amended the constitution according to the Presidential Measurements Act, and he said the CBD of Zimbabwe starts around Noto Niseke. So you guys, you go and apply to say we want to have a demonstration. You are granted the right to do a demonstration, but not out of CBD.
Right.
Do you get the point?
Yeah, I hear you.
Was Mugabe wrong by doing that? Because he was doing things that we gave him the power as the citizens. Because remember, even in the preamble of the constitution, it says this law is above everything. It governs us as Zimbabweans, whether CCC or ZANU-PF. We abide to the constitution.
Right.
Do you see where I'm coming from, Gerald?
No, I see where you're coming from. But
normally where you argue from a point of logic and morality and justice and fairness, which does not hold water when it comes to constitutional issues.
But when there is a blatant, disregard of this constitution, right now, like, the point that Tatas, raised to say that an amendment does not benefit the person in a particular position, e.g., the attorney, this and the chief justice, and then we saw the chief justice, benefiting from that, amendment. Then now it becomes an issue of, of looking at this issue of these amendments on the issue of morality, on the issues of fairness, or on the issues of actually sticking to the dictates of this constitution. And when people are saying that, ZANU PF are, since Adam, they have amended this constitution to suit what they want, and the amendment, they've got nothing to do with the Zimbabwean people, but these amendments are then being forced on the Zimbabwean people. So can we not begin to talk about fairness and justice and the issues of morality when those things are being done by a small select people, and they want to enforce that on the generality, on the rest of the population?
You see what, Gerald, what you're talking about, that's what makes sense logically and morally.
But you're saying that
when
that
you
doesn't
get to the world
exist.
of politics, when you get to the world of politics,
That doesn't exist.
the world of politics, the way you see, that's why I always talk about these things, Gerald. It's just that people always want to find a way of talking whatever that they want to talk about. I'm giving you examples that are practical.
Absolutely.
Do you get the point? Right now, people are busy talking about ZANU-PF wanting thirds majority and stuff like that. Listen, ZANU-PF, according to the constitution, there's not even need thirds of the majority for them to be able to, if they want to amend, to have a third term. Right. Remember the parliament, when they are sending a bill, it's the number of the people available. Within that particular day, they are going to ascend the bill. So if there are two members of parliament, and those two agree,
okay, hold on. Are you saying that the 2/3 majority depends on the sitting on that particular day? If 2/3 of the sitting votes for that amendment, then it goes through.
Definitely. Right, there's a time where, listen, there's a time where the situation back in the day, Changira was in Botswana, right?
Mm-hmm.
And MDC had 100 members of parliament. ZANU-PF had 100 members of parliament. Then there was another MDCT that had 10 members. So for them to pass a decision, they needed 110 members. Guess what? 7 of those guys were bought tickets to go to Botswana. And that's why we talk about MPs being bought, because they are MPs that can be bought. And that's the danger of having MPs that are getting into politics for livelihood.
For money.
Because, okay, let me show you something. People always say, okay, I'm attacking. Let me show you something. Nelson Chamisa is leading an opposition party in Zimbabwe. He tells people to say, okay, let's disengage, right? You heard from what Tshabangu was saying. There are people who use their own personal monies to campaign so that they can win. Are we in agreement?
Yeah, that is true.
Right. So these people, they have won using their own resources, not from the party. And then these people are now being told, some of them, this is actually their first time to get an employment and a job. Right. So you are pushing your legislators to choose between their livelihood and their allegiance to you as the leader of the party.
Right.
Do you see the point?
Right.
Henceforth, when Tshabangu is recalling people, someone was saying these guys are not even saying anything. It's because, listen, this is their bread and butter.
But Sheki, do we have evidence that these people actually want using their own resources? It's something that I've heard being, being narrated over and over. Because
I'll tell you for a fact. Some of these guys, they use their own funds.
Okay, but
some of these guys, they use their own funds. So you see, like I'm saying, Titus and Gerald, to say, when we get to the point whereby Smartage was talking all these things and all these facts, this is what most people are ignorant about. They come and they argue on these spaces, but they're not even investing to understand how the political terrain is maneuvered.
And then last point I could ask you, if you're speaking about the constitution, not emotions, not morale. And then, the job seeker issue, I believe, the bail is an entitlement. It's over 500 days now. You're talking of constitution, Sheki. Well, what's your take on that?
You see, the job seeker issue is an unfortunate issue. I'll be very honest with you. And I'm saying this from a point of understanding the glitches that the legal system or the judicial system can have. And the worst thing that can ever happen is when the judicial system has a glitch and it's upon you. And that can happen to any one of us. Do you get the point, Titus?
Yeah.
So the issue of Job Scala, if you look at it, I said this when I was having an interview with that. I said Job Scala is not is not an island. That guy was a person who's coming from a political party, and him coming from a political party, he has got his own cadres that he used to relate with it with. Do you get the point? Even if you go back to before the independence, we also had people who were arrested. It is the duty of those that are outside, if they are questioning the justice that is being exhibited to the person who's incarcerated, they have to take that to be their own responsibility until their cadre is out.
So hence, so it is equally true to say that he's basically a political prisoner, and no amount of court litigation can make his status change.
It's not. You see, let me give you a very good example. It won't be 100% correct to say that because it can be debated. It's like, you see, Gerald, it's like you when you're moving around, right?
Uh-huh.
What makes you a criminal is when you do things that are against our constitution.
Absolutely.
That's what makes you a criminal. So the mistake that we normally do, especially politicians, the mistake that they normally do, they end up, you see, there's a very thin line between emotions and political rhetorics.
Right.
If you make a political rhetoric that ties you down constitutionally, then you are in for it.
Right.
Because remember, the parliament or the legislature, they make the law, but the interpretation of the law is not to the people who make the law. The interpretation of the law, according to the Zimbabwean laws, is done by the judiciary. So you as member of the parliament, you can agree to say, okay, you want this law, that means this. And then you go to the chief justice or the judge president of the Supreme Court or the High Court, and they will tell you that according to the act you are dealing with, you guys, you said this, but that's not the meaning of that's not the interpretation of that law that you meant. And the interpretation of law in Zimbabwe is solemnly according to the person who's deciding the matter and the judicial system.
Right. Okay. There's a question. There's a response to what you said earlier, and I sort of inquired further to ascertain whether that was the position in terms of the 2/3 majority. I've got this comment here. That's what you're taking. What you're saying is basically rubbish. 2/3 majority to amend the constitution is not based on current sitting in a parliamentary session. That is a lie. The sitting has to correct at more than 2/3 of the total members of parliament. How do you respond to that?
All right, let me ask you a question. Right now, who has got more members of parliament in the parliament?
ZANU-PF.
All right, so if ZANU-PF has got more members in the parliament, why would they need the 2/3? If that thing will hold ZANU-PF. Remember, Smartish even said this. Do you think ZANU-PF will be stopped by that, what you're saying, for them to have a third term if they want it?
No, the point is on what should constitute that 2/3 majority. Is it a parliamentary sitting, or we are looking at the parliamentary wins at an election to say that this party here got 2/3 majority? Like, let's say ZANU-PF at the present the opposition, I think they managed to get 3 more votes to stop the actual 2/3 majority. When you're counting the number of seats that would have been that were won at this 2023 election. So this comment is saying what is considered here is that 2/3 majority to say Kotizo, a party that won 66.7% of the votes at an election is the 2/3 majority that is counted or that is referred to when these amendments are being done. So I think that is
Gerald,
what is basically saying.
It's okay. Gerald, remember when I gave you an illustration of MDC having 100, ZANU-PF having 100?
Yes, and going yes,
being bought,
exactly.
Right.
That was in 2008, right?
Exactly. And I said, remember, the 2/3 majority that you guys are discussing about, that's what makes people on Twitter comfortable to think ZANU-PF wants 2/3 majority according to numerical numbers.
Right.
You get the point? That's not where politics is played, Gerald. Right now, I'll give you an example. I'm not saying this is happening. I'll give you an example right now. That's why I'm saying when you have got politicians that are doing politics for livelihoods, that's the most uncertain ground to do politics in.
Okay.
Right now, Gerald, let's say you're a member of parliament. Gerald, you're a member of parliament. I've got more money than you, and I bring you $1 million. You think you not cast your vote towards me?
I got doing lobbying and the.
But it's allowed in the world of politics. I'm trying to
I
show you.
and those are even the lobbying.
And you get the point. So I'm trying to give people this. I'm trying to show people to say they are focusing on the wrong issues.
Right.
Because if I want you to vote for me and I know you're hungry and I'm a politician, what do I do?
I can just manipulate you. I can just buy you.
You get the point? And that's allowed in the world of politics because there are no regulations there.
Right. Okay.
You get the point? That's why I'm saying with you guys to focus on the issue of 2/3. That's you being shallow.
Right. Okay.
First of all, I'll give you an example. There is a time when a person will choose his family over anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I would expect every responsible parent to choose his family over anything. So if you mean to say your kids are not going to school, you're a legislator, and then someone comes to you and he offers you something that you know that my kids are actually going to have good education, in as much as it's not moral, but politicians, they use that.
Right.
That's why we call whipping of votes. Even if you go to
yeah,
movies, that's what we call whipping of
what
votes.
you're saying, right now, I don't know whether that report, is true or not. There's a report, Kukurigo. If you know Kukurigo, I think that's what's his name. What's his name? Yes. Yes, I know a story. That they are. I'm still to confirm. The story. I'm just waiting. For a response to say that there is an MP who fears the recalls to an extent that they've offered to give Tshabangu 10,000 US dollars, and these are some of the things that you're speaking about to say that politicians.
Let's say Gerald. Let's say that's true. Let's say that is true. Right. Do you think even Tshabangu in his own mind, if he's offered 10,000, or let's say even if he's offered $1 million with another legislator that doesn't recall him, if he's a person who has got logical sense, would you think you will not take that $1 million?
Yeah, because if you stay strong, to your beliefs and convictions, you not take it. And this one here, Tshabangu is being said that he refused, to take it. So it is not always that these people buy or will take these bribes. Is it always the case? I know that lobbying happens.
The problem that we have, Gerald, my brother, I will always keep on saying this. Politicians are men like us. They are prone to make mistakes and error. That's why even that time I said every politician is a liar. When I say that, I seemed like I was insulting anyone. I was not insulting anyone. A politician will do anything to make people have hope because a politician is a dealer in the business of hope.
Right. Okay.
You get the point?
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Just a comment there, Shaki.
Me, I'm done.
somebody is saying here, Shaki is justifying the abuse of the constitution. He says we are human beings after all. Morality should prevail. If one day the tables turn, ZANU-PF will be nailed by their abuse.
Right.
Can I show you something? ZANU-PF is setting a bad precedent for the future. We are human. Can I show you something, Titus? Go on. You see the problem that happens with our people when I'm saying these things. If you have checked where I'm coming from, I'm standing on a very, I'm standing at the center of the discussion. I'm not even taking a political side, right? What that person is saying, according to the laws that we have, whether anyway, there is what we call the natural law theory and the positive law theory. The natural law theory says any law has to be, whether it's man-made law, it has to be just, it has to be moral, it has to be fair. That's the definition of natural law theory, whereby laws are supposed to be just, laws are supposed to be moral. Yes. And then there's the positivist theory that says law is law. Its goodness and its badness is another thing. And unfortunately, that is actually the way we deal with law in Zimbabwe. We are positive law theorists in Zimbabwe. Henceforth, you saw there was a case that Advocate Biti went and he argued when he was talking about the age of consent. Remember that issue? Because there was an anomaly, there was an act of parliament which was saying a child can only be married can only be can consent at 16, and then a person can only be given the right to make a family at 18. And the act was not in alignment, or it was not palatable to the constitution. And Advocate Beatty argued on that basis, and he won that case. You get the point? Because constitutions are made by people who are prone to make mistakes. It's like I was telling you about the Mugabe strategy. Mugabe would definitely, he made his moral understanding the constitution. Guess what? During the Mugabe era, he said same-sex marriage is worse than pigs. It was written like that, straight up in the constitution. Guess what? It's because it was his moral fiber which he changed and he made it law. So that person who's saying I'm talking whatever that I'm talking, he's coming from a natural law theory. I understand that person and I believe that person, because there are people who believe that, but unfortunately, that's just what we can say on Twitter, but that's not how it works. Right. No, it's all right, Sheikh. I think let's quickly give Zeti before we go to Muno, and there start at our close. Zeti, I think you had an SI question you wanted to quickly pose. Citizen Z.
Yes. Can I have a back and forth with Sheikh? I think he's articulately wrong. Sheikh. Guys, can you hear me?
Zeti,
quiet.
well, we always argue. Me and you, we always argue.
Sheikh, when it comes to SI, yeah, I want to show you that you're articulately wrong, so maybe you learn something. We've got the High Court at home, yeah? And we've got the Supreme Court, and then we've got the Constitutional Court. Do you know why the High Court cannot overrule or overturn a Constitutional Court decision, Sheikh?
Can I tell you the reason why the High Court cannot overrule that?
Yes, go on.
The High Court is our court. You can approach it with a civil matter or a criminal matter. And the Constitutional Court has something to do with anything to do about the Constitution. Henceforth, you see, the case against the president, in law, it's actually known as the case against Mnangagwa and Chamisa, the 2018. The reason why the High Court cannot do that is simply because it's a constitutional matter. So henceforth, Smartish was talking about the precedents that was set
one,
by the judgment of 2018.
Sheikh, hold on. That's not the question. Why? Why cannot the other two courts overrule the Constitutional Court?
It's because according to our constitutional hierarchy, the Supreme Court and the Constitutional Court is high above the High Court.
No. Why can the two cannot overrule a Constitutional Court? Why? Why is that?
I've just answered.
Okay, let me give you an answer. Because the Constitution is the supreme law. There is no other law, even the SI, that can overrule the Constitution of Zimbabwe. That's how it's designed. Yeah.
Right.
That means, hold on. Unless you disagree.
There's a lot of background noise, that is coming through. I don't know if you can, sort that out, please. There's a lot of, background noise, that's coming through.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I'm walking and talking.
Zeti,
unless you are disagreeing with that statement.
Before you progress, you are just echoing what I said. Remember, I even gave the example of BT case. I gave an example to say the acts of parliament, there is only one supreme act of parliament, which is the constitution, which is in its own league. So I articulated that even before you said to say the constitution is above everything.
Hold on. Yeah. That means, Sheikh, any SI that is done cannot overrule the Constitution. The SIs are babies to the Constitution. Yeah. And again, when you do an SI according to our Constitution, you have to do, the president has to do an SI. When it does an SI based on, it cannot be found in the Constitution. You cannot do any SI that turns around and amends or changes something that is in the Constitution. This is why it's given those powers.
Listen, you see, the reason I always have an argument with you is you always try to twist what I would have said. Where did I say there's a statutory instrument that is above the Constitution?
No, you said the president can change. Yeah? He cannot. It's unconstitutional.
The president can change what?
The president cannot change anything he wants. It has to be according to the Constitution. He has to be found outside of the Constitution.
Okay.
This is why the law is supposed to last 6 months.
Citizen, Citizen.
Yes.
Maybe let me consult Gerald the host. Gerald, do you remember when I was saying there is whatever that you see happening, whether it's morally right or wrong, if it's within our constitution, and I said there's the Presidential Act, the Benjamin's Act, which allows the president to have law that is only valid for 6 months. Do you remember when I was saying that?
Yes.
Right. And when I said that, did I say that law should be, if it will be unpalatable with the constitution? Because
No.
you're saying I say the president can make any law. I never said that. Don't put
No,
words in my mouth.
Shaky, hold on. You put it in to say that the president, and that is wrong, can do an SI. The president can only do an SI that is on things that are found out, that are not found in the that the constitution cannot speak about.
Citizen, that's why I have a problem with you. Why are you lying that I said when I never said the president?
Okay, move on to the second one.
Okay, Gerald, you are the. I'm
Let's move on. Hold on.
Right.
It's okay.
I
Hold on.
think,
Let's move on to the
guys,
second
on
one
that
because you said
point,
quite a lot of things.
all right. On that point, I think when that point, came about, it's true that, you made reference to the SI lasting,